Hi everyone! Today we're going to learn how to use a compound light microscope. A microscope is used to look at things that are too small to be seen with your own eyes. Don't confuse that with a telescope, which is used to look at things that are far away. First we're going to look at the parts of the microscope, then we're going to learn how to use it. This piece is called the eyepiece. It contains the ocular lens. The ocular lens by itself has a power of 10 times. So whatever you're looking at through the eyepiece alone is magnified 10 times its original size. The next part is called the nose piece. This piece contains the high and low power objective lenses. This is used to change the magnification of the microscope. These are the objective lenses. These can be changed in order to change the magnification on your microscope. You can see the one on the left, if you look closely, has a 40 on it. That's the high power. It has a magnification of 40 times. The middle one has a magnification of 10 times, and the shortest one has a magnification of 4 times. These are the stage clips. These are used to hold your slide in place while you're trying to view it. This part is called the stage. It's used to support the slide that is being viewed. This is the light source. It projects light upwards through the diaphragm, the slide, and back into the lenses. This piece is called the arm. It's used to support the microscope when it's being carried. This is a safe place to grab the microscope so that it doesn't get damaged. This part is called the coarse adjustment knob. This is used to focus your microscope. If you turn the knob, it moves the stage up and down, which allows you to focus. This knob is called the fine adjustment knob or the fine focus knob. This one does very small movements in order to sharpen the image that you're trying to look at. The small adjustment knob is the only one that should be used when your microscope is on the high power, which is the longest objective lens. This part is called the diaphragm. It rotates in order to regulate the amount of light that will get through. This is the base of the microscope. It supports the microscope. The first step in using your microscope is to plug it in. You'll notice now that the microscope is plugged in, the light has come on. The next step in using your microscope is to make sure that it's on the lowest setting, which is the shortest lens. This is the 4 power. If it's not, you can rotate the lenses. You should feel a slight click when it goes into place. You always start out your microscope on the lowest setting. This is an example of a slide. This is what we call a prepared specimen. It's got a label on it as to what is on the slide. These are ones that already have something on them. There are other slides that are blank that you'll make yourself. Your next step, place the slide on your microscope. Use the stage clips to clip it into place. You want to make sure that whatever you're looking at is directly over the light source. Your next step is to start focusing your microscope. Using the coarse adjustment knob, turn it so that your lenses are as close to the slide as they can get. Remember, stop when the knob doesn't want to turn anymore, otherwise you'll break the microscope. Your next step will be to look in the eyepiece and finish focusing your microscope. In the top here, it rotates. When you look inside of it, you'll see a black piece. It looks like a toothpick. That's used for pointing to something if you want to show it to somebody else. You can move the pointer by rotating the top of the microscope. Once you've gotten your microscope focused on the low power, you can adjust it to the medium. Rotate the objective lenses into place so that the medium power points down. This one is magnifying your sample 10 times. You multiply that by the 10 times that's in the ocular lens. That gives you a total of 100 times magnification. You may need to do some slight focusing at this power as well, but it shouldn't need too much if you focused it thoroughly on the low power. This image is showing frog's blood at the lowest setting. Using the objective lens, which has a 4 power, times the ocular lens, which has a 10 power, gives you a total power of 40 times magnification. At this setting, you don't see a lot of detail, but you see the whole image. This is a view with the 10 times objective lens. This image is being magnified a total of 100 times. Notice you've lost some of the image, but you've gained a little bit of detail. Next, you'll rotate your microscope to the high power. Turn the objective lenses so that the high power faces down. Notice the high power lens is almost touching the slide. You have to be very careful when using this power because you can crack the slide or you could crack the lens. These lenses can't be replaced. You'd have to replace the whole microscope if it gets broken. So on this power, you only want to use the fine adjustment knob. Notice when I turn that, you don't see any movement in the lenses, but it will sharpen the image so that you can see it well. This image is using the high power lens. This image is being magnified 400 times. Notice you've lost quite a bit of the picture, but you've gained a lot of detail. You can now see that these look somewhat like eggs rather than just dots. When finished with the high power, rotate the lenses back to the low power and remove your slide. When making your own slides, there's a few things that you'll need. You'll need a blank slide, which means there's nothing on it. You'll need a cover slip, which is used to cover the specimen that you're trying to look at. If you're doing a wet mount, which we'll go over in a minute, you'll need a dropper and a sample. When making your own slides, think small, like the size of the head of a pin. Huge samples will be too big and hard for you to view. I'm going to place a small sample of a piece of sponge on my slide. It's so small, you can barely even tell that anything's there. Next, I'm going to put a cover slip over the top of it. This protects the lenses on the microscope and also helps your sample stay put. Then I'll take my sample and look at it under the microscope. A wet mount slide is slightly different because you're dealing with liquids. You'll need to use a dropper and whatever liquid it is that you're taking a sample of. You'll put a single drop of your sample onto your slide. When making a wet mount, you're going to be dealing with liquids. You're going to place one drop of your sample onto your slide. Then you're going to cover it with a cover slip. It's important that you drop your cover slip at an angle instead of just straight on in order to get rid of air bubbles. Place the edge of your cover slip so it touches the slide, then let go of it. You can see the liquid that was underneath spread out. If you get too much liquid on there, it'll ooze out from underneath your cover slip. It also may make it a little dark and thick to see, so try not to use too much. If you find that your microscope is dirty, you can use lens paper to clean off the lenses. Tear out a sheet, get it a little bit wet with 1 drop of water, and then rub it on the dirty lenses. Make sure you don't ever use Kleenex or other materials. It can scratch the lenses of the microscope. When you're finished with your microscope, wrap the cord around the base of it, between the light and the arm. Then cover it with a plastic dust cover so that it doesn't get dusty. So, in this lesson, we covered the parts of a microscope, using the microscope, and how to make a slide of your own. If you have further questions, you can go online to our class website and look up parts of a microscope under PowerPoints.